When I first started the gym, I was definitely guilty of spamming 4 sets of 15 reps on every exercise, accumulating tons of volume with no real intensity to my training, and then wondered why I wasn't really making any gains. Now, when I flipped my mindset from quantity to quality in the gym, that is when my physique transformed. There's a big misunderstanding around volume and it not being the main driver of muscle growth, because think about it like this: if volume, the sets of reps that you're accumulating, was the primary driver of muscle growth, and it was a linear relationship where as you increase volume, muscle gains keep occurring, then we'd all be doing 500 sets of biceps every week and all walking around like the Hulk. Sadly, it doesn't happen like that in the real world, right? There's a limitation in terms of how much volume you can actually accumulate during a week without burning out and without your weights then stalling. So there's a point of diminishing returns. Now, what I would rather you focus on is getting training intensity and the quality of those sets to start with. So instead of doing 4 or 5 sets on every exercise, start with 2 or 3 sets on each exercise. I would recommend roughly 5 or 6 exercises per session. If you're doing 2 or 3 sets, let's say across a session, you're doing somewhere between 15 to 18 sets on one entire workout. Now, provided that those sets are taken relatively close to failure, say 1 or 2 reps left in reserve, then you should be accumulating enough volume for muscle growth for sure, and within each individual session, but you're probably not going to run the risk of burning out and accumulating way too much volume. I can tell you categorically that doing 30 sets in one session is definitely going to be overtraining. And I think it's easy to overthink this because I've had a lot of conversations with people in the gym where I work as a personal trainer around the perfect number of sets for muscle growth for each muscle group, and it just doesn't work like that, right? There's no perfect number that I can tell you. There's no magic tool calculator that's going to spit out the exact number of sets that you need for chest or for shoulders, because this all depends on so many factors. Genetic differences between people in terms of their recovery, what your life is like outside the gym in terms of stress, in terms of work schedule, sleep, diet, and recovery protocols, all of these things, right? So there's so many factors that are going to impact your individual ability to recover, that instead of worrying about the minute details that don't make too much difference about whether you're doing 17 sets for chest or 20 sets of chest per week, instead focus on taking each working set that you're tracking close to failure, 1 to 2 reps in the tank. Track the weights are going up through progressive overload, so try and add reps per set on 2 or 3 sets, add reps, then add weight gradually to the bar over time. As long as you're doing those 2 things, then when you know over a number of weeks that you can recover, i.e. the weights are still going up, then you can look to add a bit of volume if you want. Add an extra set here and there. How do you know you're doing too much volume and when to adjust? It will become quite clear. So let's say, for example, if you do 10 sets of biceps across your whole week and your weights are progressive overload, you are building muscle because your form's decent and your weights are going up over time. If you then start adding an extra 2 sets of biceps a week and you go to 12 sets, and then you find that you're burning out a bit, you're fatigued, maybe the last exercise that you do for biceps in that week is stalling, you've just answered your own question and you know that you have exceeded your recovery capabilities. And that is where you need to then bring your volume back down, because you can't just keep adding more and more sets if your weights are stalling. This is where you just burn out and never recover. So you need to reduce that volume again, or take some more rest days and then clear that fatigue and then carry on. Biggest limiting factor to muscle growth for most people is always going to be fatigue management. Suddenly your sleep's impaired, or you are a bit more slack on your diet, or things crop up, and if your recovery is not on point, that's where it's easy to overtrain. So always remember that the main driver of muscle growth is not volume, it's training close to failure, mechanical tension, and then progressive overload is the indicator of strength gains that will then therefore lead to muscle gain as well. How many sets per workout for each muscle group? There's not going to be a perfect answer to this, but if you look across the research, it suggests that after about 6 to 8 sets on one particular muscle group in one individual workout, you're basically just accumulating junk volume. And this makes sense if you think about it, because let's say you do all of your chest on Monday. Let's say you've got 16 sets of chest across your week. We all know if you go in and do an incline chest press, a flat chest press, and then a chest fly, you've already fried your chest, and that could be 9 sets accumulated, 3 on each. Quick maths. Now, if you added a 4th chest exercise on Monday and you added more sets on, you're already really fatigued going into that, and we're recruiting less muscle fibers during each set during the workout. So when you're fresh at the start, when fatigue is lower, you're recruiting more muscle fibers at the start of the workout than you are at the end. And those quality of those sets diminishes as time goes through the workout, right? And you're more tired. So if you've got a chest exercise right at the end of your workout and you've already hammered your chest on that day, it's going to be poor quality, and the performance is going to go up if you move it to a different day. So rather than doing all of your chest on one day, it's better to split this between 2 upper body workouts, say, or 2 chest and shoulders workouts, 2 push workouts, whatever it is, 2 smaller days. Do an incline press, chest press on a Monday, then leave 48 hours to 72 hours through 2 to 3 days till the next workout, where you do your chest fly and a chest press machine or a flat press. And by spreading that volume across 2 separate days, we're stimulating muscle growth more regularly, because we're training a muscle twice a week more frequently, because a muscle will recover after 2 to 3 days and you can train it again. Rather than training 1 day a week for a muscle group where you're just hammering it and the quality of those sets goes down. So you can see there, by improving your recovery by training a muscle more frequently and spreading that volume across the week, you are going to see quicker results in terms of the recovery and the weights going up. If this video is helpful, if it is, drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you very soon.